The day I finally looked up from the ground, from my own shame and exhaustion, the ocean was louder than my thoughts, and the sky felt too wide for a man like me. I had driven to the beach before sunrise, hoping the waves could rinse off a year of quiet losses I never spoke about. That morning, my life was a knot of regret, single-parent fear, and the kind of loneliness that doesn't shout but sits heavy in the chest. I didn't know then that one awkward moment on the sand would become the hinge my whole future would swing on. Before the story truly unfolds, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet ways life surprises broken people, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel. Your support keeps stories like this alive. I had moved to a small coastal town in California months earlier, a place where the houses leaned into the wind and the neighbors waved without asking questions. My name is Matthew, and back then I was a widowed father trying to be enough for my 8-year-old son Joshua, while barely holding myself together. Mornings were rushed, nights were long, and weekends felt like empty hallways. That Saturday, I left Joshua with my sister and drove toward the beach because grief doesn't care about schedules, and sometimes you need salt air more than sleep. The beach was waking up slowly, gulls screaming like they owned the sky, joggers tracing the wet sand, surfers carrying boards like crosses toward the water. I sat on a towel, staring at the horizon, replaying every mistake I thought I had made as a husband, as a father, as a man. That was when I noticed her. Though noticed might be the wrong word. She was already there, standing near the waterline, the early light catching her hair as the waves folded at her feet. I recognized her not as a stranger, but as the woman who lived 2 houses down from me, the one I passed on trash days and nodded at in the driveway. Her name was Rebecca, a nurse who worked night shifts and kept to herself. I knew that much from overheard conversations and small-town assumptions. Seeing her there felt strangely intimate, like discovering someone else reads your favorite book. I looked too long, lost in thought, not realizing how it might appear from the outside. The moment snapped when she looked back, raised her head, and called out that gentle but firm reminder about where my eyes belonged. Embarrassment hit me like a wave. What I meant to say in response came out wrong in my head before it ever reached my mouth. I wanted to joke, to soften the moment, to admit my awkwardness without making it worse. The words formed as a half-finished thought about how she wore that bikini on a day when the sun itself seemed braver, but I stopped myself in time. Instead, I smiled, apologized with my eyes, and looked out to sea. Something in that small, restrained exchange shifted the air between us, turning tension into something fragile and human. Rebecca sat a few feet away, and we shared the silence without filling it. The ocean did enough talking for both of us. In that quiet, I felt the weight I carried ease just a little. It wasn't romance, not yet, but recognition. 2 adults standing on the same shoreline, both carrying invisible loads. I learned later she had moved there after a painful divorce, choosing the ocean because it didn't ask her to explain herself. Our lives began to overlap in the softest ways. Morning walks turned into shared coffee from paper cups. Joshua started waving at her from the porch, and she waved back with a warmth that felt earned, not forced. I struggled constantly with guilt, with the fear that letting someone new into our world might somehow betray the love I had lost. Nights were the hardest when Joshua slept and the house echoed with memories. Rebecca never pushed. She listened when I spoke, and when I didn't, she respected that too. The real challenge came when life tested us the way it always does, without warning. Joshua got sick. One evening when my sister was out of town and I was stuck at work, panic clawed at me as I tried to juggle responsibilities I could barely manage on a good day. Rebecca showed up at my door with soup, calm hands, and a steadiness that anchored me. She didn't replace anyone. She simply stood beside us, and that made all the difference. Healing didn't happen in a montage or a perfect arc. There were setbacks, moments when I pulled away, afraid of needing someone too much. There were nights Rebecca sat alone on her porch, respecting my boundaries even when it hurt her. Growth was slow, uneven, and real. The beach became our neutral ground, a place where we returned again and again to remind ourselves who we were becoming, not who we had been. Months later, on another early morning, we stood on that same stretch of sand. The sun rose like a promise, and Joshua chased birds down the shore, laughing in a way that felt like a miracle. I realized then that love doesn't arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it comes with patience, with quiet humor, with the courage to look up when you'd rather stare at the ground. If this story is touching something inside you, if it's reminding you that healing is possible even after deep loss, please take a moment to like, share, and engage with this video. Your interaction helps these stories reach hearts that need them. Just before we walked back home that day, I understood that the awkward moment that started it all was never about where my eyes were. It was about learning how to see again, how to notice life offering me something new without guilt or fear. Rebecca didn't save me. Joshua didn't fix me. But together they gave me a reason to keep showing up, to keep believing that broken things can be rebuilt into something strong and beautiful. Before the ending, please comment below and tell us where you're watching from, or share a moment when life surprised you with hope when you least expected it. The ocean kept rolling in, steady and forgiving, as we left footprints behind us that the tide would soon erase. And for the first time in a long while, I was okay with that. Because some moments aren't meant to last forever. They're meant to change you, quietly, completely, and then set you free.